All right, it's Wednesday. This is probably day 13 of quarantine for you. So, we're still here. We're still doing some algebra. This is our review for our last unit test. So, let's get started. I'm going to go through each problem with you, and again, you can use this review on your test. There's nothing stopping you there. The length of a rectangle is 4x minus 2, and the width is x plus 5. Write a simplified expression for the area of the rectangle. Okay, so 4x minus 2, x plus 5. So a simplified expression, that means we need to put it, like we gotta FOIL this, and then that's a simplified expression. Okay, so kind of going to back a few units now. FOIL is first times first, with 4x squared. In outer, 4x times 5, 20x. Inner, negative 2x. And last is negative 10. So you can combine these x terms, they're like terms, and then your answer is just going to be 4x squared plus 18x minus 10. That's all. Just FOIL that. Alright, the area of a living room is represented by the polynomial, trinomial, x squared minus 2x minus 48. What are the dimensions of the room? We just need to factor this. So we're going to look at negative 48, and we're going to say what factors of negative 48 could, when added together, would equal negative 2. So right now I'm thinking 6 and 8, and it's a negative 2, so it's going to be x minus 8 and x plus 6. One of them has to be positive, one needs to be negative because it's a negative 48. So which question is that, or which answer choice? That would be this one, B. The area of a garden is represented by the expression 4x squared minus 11x minus 3. If the length is 4x plus 1, which could represent the width. So area is 4x squared minus 11x minus 3. And again, area is width times length, or length times width. So let me make this better. How much room over here? Okay, here we go. So we're trying to figure out what the width is. That's what we're trying to figure out here. So we can factor okay, so they tell us what the length is. It's 4x plus 1. What's going to represent the width? So you could do this multiple ways. You could take this 4x plus 1 and FOIL it times any of these 4 options, and your answer would be this. Okay? Because that's this times this is that. Alright? Or you could say 4x plus 1, and then we have something else over here. What's going to be, what do we FOIL that against to equal 4x squared minus 11x minus 3. So let's start with this one, 4x minus 3. Well, that's going to be a 16x squared. So we know it's not that one. 4x plus 1 times x minus 4. So that would give you 4x squared. I'm multiplying these two together right now. First outer plus 1x Enter. Negative 16x. And then last would be minus 4. No, that's not going to get it. It's not that. X plus 3. That would be 4x times x, 4x squared. Outer x times 1 plus 1x. Inner 12x. I'm basically just foiling all this, and then outer would be. That's going to leave us with 13x. So, nope. Alright, so let's see if this works. Minus 3. X minus 3. Our last choice. It better. 4x times x is a 4x squared. Whoops. Outer is going to be negative 12x. Inner is positive 1x. And then minus 3. And if you combine these, you get negative 11x. So D is our answer. Okay, number 4. If a to the x, which is the same as y, equals x squared, which is our parent function, write an equation for b of x that opens upward and is wider than a of x. Okay, so b of x, if this is our parent function, we want something that's wider and opens upward. So it's going to be positive if it opens upward. Positive. Okay, I'll say that. And then wider, what's going to make it wider? This is something less than 1, so it's a fraction. So b of x could equal any fraction that's positive. So let's just go with a half. But you could say a third, you could say a fourth, you could say an eighth, you could say anything that was less than 1. Make sure it's positive so it opens upward. If a of x equals x squared, write an equation for c of x. C of x equals, so opens downward, so it's going to be negative, and is more narrow, so it's going to be greater than 1. So negative 5x squared. I mean, you could use any whole number as long as it's negative and greater than 1. Okay? Number 6, which of the following represents a solution set for the equation x minus 3 squared minus 4 equals 0? So here's the graph here, the line that's graphed here. This is the equation. And where does it cross the x-axis? That's going to be your answer. Crosses here at 1 and at 5. So 1 and 5. We don't even have to do any math. We just look to see where it crosses the x-axis, because that's going to be the solution. Okay? Alright, number 7. Write the line of symmetry for a quadratic whose roots are negative 2 and 6. So the roots are negative 2 and 6. Line of symmetry is where you add the roots or the x-intercepts and then divide by 2. So negative 2 plus 6 divided by 2. So negative 2 plus 6 is going to give you 4 divided by 2 is 2. So x equals 2 is that line of symmetry. And if you want us to see that on a graph, it would be 1, 2, negative 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. So it's going to be in the middle. So right here is a line of symmetry, because this is going to be your line, and that's going to be your line of symmetry right there in the middle, right there at 2. Okay, solve 6x minus 7x minus 3. Okay, so we got to look and see. It's already set to 0, so that's good. We got to look and see factors of 3. Could we factor this? That's what we need to know first. Well, no, we can't. So we got to use the quadratic formula. Quadratic equation. So your A is 6, your B is -7, and your C is -3. So x equals -b. So that's going to be a positive 7 plus or minus the square root of b squared. That's a -7 times or minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. So here we are. Let's simplify this. 7 plus or minus 49 minus, okay, this is -18 times -4. So I don't have my calculator handy. So look, we can still do math with our hand. By hand. 72. All right. Divided by 12. Okay, let me make sure I did this right. 4ac. Yeah. All over 2a. Yeah. Okay. 49. So what I'm finding here is that, so originally what she had for number 8, what we had for number 8 was not a handwritten problem. It was a typed in problem, but it's not one that we're going to be using. So what I see here tells me that I'm going to have a negative number inside here, and that's no solutions. Because you can't have a negative number there. Okay? So this is going to be a negative 72 minus 49. 23. Square root of -23. And I could have done something wrong here, guys. Because the key has a different answer. But I'm pretty sure that's right. And, yeah. Okay, well, no solutions is what I get. Alright? Okay, which graphing method could be used to solve the quadratic 5x squared minus x plus 4 equals 10? So what we could do here, okay, on this one, what we would need to do is add 10 to both sides to get this 10 to the other side of the equal sign. When you do that, you get 5x squared minus x plus 14. Okay, so it wants to know how could we solve it. We need to find the x-intercept of this, right? That's the solution, it's the x-intercept. So that'd be B. You don't have to have a calculator to do that. Alright, we don't even have to solve it. It just has to be the x-intercept of this. That's your solution. What are 3 other names for solutions to the quadratic equation? We have roots, we have zeros, and we have x-intercepts. Alright, number 11, the table below shows values for f of x equals x squared minus 1. What's the solution for f of x equals 0? So, f of x is y, remember? So y equals 0. Where is y 0? right here, and right here. Okay, so our answers are going to be, there's two x values. We have a -1 and we have a 1. Now, the brackets here are really important. This doesn't mean x, y. This is not a coordinate pair because it has brackets. If it was a coordinate pair, it would have parentheses. And you would have x and y, okay? But it doesn't, it has brackets. So these are both just x values that they're just using, they're just telling you what they are. So -1 and 1 is right here, because these are the only two, we need to solve for what values of x when y equals 0. It's a -1 and a +1, okay? A circle has a radius of x plus 4, and if the area is 80.4 square centimeters, write an equation that represents this situation. Okay, so we got to figure out the formula for area of a circle. Let's think back. Area equals pi r squared. Did you remember that from last year? Pi times r, radius times which squared. So our area would be 80.4 centimeters squared is going to be equal, because that's your area, to pi times x plus 4, because that's what our radius is, squared. This is the answer. They just want you to write an equation. That's all this has. Our area equals pi r, which is x plus 4, squared. Okay. Number 13. Okay, we're on the last page. Woohoo! 13. The length of a garden is 3 feet more than the width. If the area is 130 square feet, find the length. So, area is 130 square feet. Length is 3 plus w. Okay. And we know area equals length times width. Okay, those are the things we know. Alright, so let's see if we can figure this out. I like to draw a picture. So we have the width, and then we have the length, which is w plus 3. So, let's plug in what we know. 130, that's the area, equals length times width. So width times the length. This is your width, this is your length. Okay, so now we can solve what this is. So we distribute the w into here, so you get 130 equals w squared, w times w is w squared, and then w times 3 is 3w. Okay, now we need to get all of this over to the same side of the equal sign. So let's just move this 130 to the end over here by subtracting it, and now it's all equal to 0. And we have w squared plus 3w minus 130. And now we can try to factor this first. Let's say 130, what are the factors of 130? Well, first of all, I know 13 times 10, and it's a negative. So this would be good, because 13 and 10 can make 3 when you add it together. W plus 13 and w minus 10, right? Equals 0. That's the factor here. And so we know the width is 10 because and the length is 10 plus 3 because it says it's plus 3, and that's going to give you 13. Okay, so let's go back here. this would, when you set this equal to 0, you get a negative 13. That's one answer when you factor it, and then over here you get a positive 10. Well, in this, when we're talking about width or area, you can't have a negative width or length. So this is not, you throw that one out. That doesn't count. So the only solution that makes sense in this problem is the positive 10. So we know that's the W, because that's, we just solved for W. And then that makes the length 13. So that's how we get that. So it says, what is the length? Find the length. It's 13. That one was a little tricky. Hope you kind of took good notes there. Kind of figure that out. Alright, by how much would you have to shift f of x equals x squared to create a quadratic with zeros of negative 3 and 3? Okay, so we want to go from this, which is the parent function. That's a really bad drawing. Sorry. This is f of x equals x squared. Okay, and we want to go to this. We want it to go to having zeros of 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. I'm really horrible at doing this, but that's supposed to pass through the 3. Okay, negative 3 and 3. Okay, we want it to go from here to here. So what did we just do? We went down. We went down, for sure. It got wider, but it for sure went down. Okay? And it didn't go just to the left, or it would just be over here. It didn't go just to the right, or it would all be over here. It went left and right 3 units, but it didn't go up. It went down 9 units. That's the big deal. It went down because now instead of having just the vertex a solution, a 0, it's now 2 zeros because it went down 9 units. Okay, if you translate a parent function of a parabola 3 units up, what point will it pass through? Okay, here's the parent function again. That's y equals x squared. And we translate it to going 3 units up. Okay, so now this is 3 units up. It's going to pass through right here. At y equals x squared plus 3. That's what this means. Right there. So it's going to pass through your, what point will it pass through? This is a coordinate point. Well, it has to be at x is 0 and y is 3. That's the vertex. It's not where it passes through on the y-axis, it's where it passes through on the x-axis. Oh, it's not saying what's the solution. Okay, I'm sorry guys. It's wanting to know which of these points is it just going to pass through. Like, okay, so 0, negative 3 would be down here. Well, we know it ain't going to pass down there because it's opening up. It's not negative. 3, 0. 1, 2, 3. Right here. It's not going to pass there. 1, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. It's not going to pass there. 1, 2, 3. It could go here. 3, 12, right? That's the only one that would make sense that it could pass through. This is the vertex. that's not a point it's going to pass through. I mean, it is, but it's the vertex. And that's not one of our choices. So you can't choose that one. But this is the only one that would make sense that it could possibly pass through. Because these others were not even inside the parabola at all. Alright. Moving on. Which is an inaccurate description of y equals x plus 6 times x minus 4. Okay. So, let's go ahead and look at this as, let's see what the x-intercepts would be here. We want to see what our x-intercepts are. We can gather that from here. So what we would do to get that is we would set each of one of them equal to 0 to find the zeros. Remember, this is back from the first lesson we did. And our x-intercepts are going to be at -6 and 4. Okay, so that's our x-intercepts, also known as the solutions, the roots, or the zeros. So the parabola opens upward. Well, we don't know that. Oh, and inaccurate. I'm so sorry. The parabola does open upward. It is positive. Blah. Okay, the vertex is -1 and -25. I don't know about that one yet. The solutions are -6 and 4. That's definitely true. So that's not going to be one because it says an inaccurate, something that's not true. And the x-intercept is 0, -24. Well, that's the y-intercept. And I know that because if I FOILed this to get the y-intercept, I would get x squared, first outer is -4x, inner is 6x, and last would be -24. So the y-intercept is here at -24. Okay, so you get that right there, and you know it's a negative, it's a positive parabola, so it's not going to open downward. So this is true, so it's off. The vertex, we could add these, remember to get the line of symmetry, to figure out the vertex, we could add the two x-intercepts and then divide by 2. So you get -2 divided by 2, so it's -6 plus 4. And then you get -2, then divide by 2, and that's a -1. The vertex is a -1. Yeah, so that's true, so that's not going to be right. The x-intercept is not going to be 0, -4, 24. It's going to be, the x-intercepts are 6 and -6 and 4. That's the one that is inaccurate. It's false. Which is false. That's what that means. And it says inaccurate. Alright, find the solutions to the following quadratics. Alright, let's see first if we can factor them and set equal to 0. That's good. We can factor. Is there factors of -36 that would equal -5 when we add them together? 6 and 6, no. 3 and 12, no. 9 and 4, yeah. So x minus 9 and x plus 4. So gotta set those equal to 0, and your solutions end up being a 9 and a -4. Okay. Okay, x squared equals 64. Well, we need to get this 64 over here, so when we move it over, it becomes x squared minus 64. And looky here, we have difference of squares. Yay, difference, and these are both squares. So x minus 8 and x plus 8. Then down here, let's see if we can factor this in any way. It's not difference of squares, because neither of these are squares. It's a binomial, so can't solve it by factoring the trinomial. But we can solve it by, or we can take out, yeah, a GCF. 7 is in both 7 and is a factor of both 7 and 42, and an x. Okay, so 7x would leave us with x minus 6 equals 0. So now we can set both of those equal to 0. 7x equals 0, and we divide by 7, and you get x equals 0. That's 1, and then x minus 6 equals 0. And you get plus 6, so 6 and 0. Those are your two solutions there. And then over here, we got to move this negative 8 over so that it can be a trinomial. Minus 6x plus 8. Let's see if we can factor this first. We may not have to use a quadratic formula. What are factors of 8 that could equal negative 6? Ah, 4 and 2. Yay! No quadratic formula. So, yay for y'all. I know y'all would rather not do that. So 4 times 2 is 8, right? And to get a negative, you would just make these both negative. Yeah, because when you add them together, it would equal negative 6. So x minus 4 and x minus 2 equals 0. So then you get, when you set them both equal to 0, you get a 4 and a 2. Yay! And that, my friends, is the end. And now we're on to the test. So tomorrow when you go to the test, it's going to be very similar to what you see here. And here, they're giving you a big open space here. So, unless you can factor this, which you can't. You can't. You're going to need to do the quadratic formula. There. Okay. And then we did something like this. We did number 9, number 10. Everything looks good here. 13. And then there's 20 questions. So, just like they were on the review. So, go ahead and do your best in completing the test. I know this is a super long video, but I wanted to make sure you guys got a good in-depth look at the review. If you have any questions, send me a question on Remind, and I'll do my best to answer you. But that's it. And you guys have a good night, or a good day, whatever time it is when you're watching this. And good luck on your test. I know you can do it. Hey, this is probably the easiest test you're going to take all year because it's at home, and you can use your review. So, have a good night, or day, whatever.